Hey guys, Key here. So I just wanted to start with a little preface for this video. I originally was going to do an elaborate review on it with, jokes and all sorts of fun stuff and going into a full analysis on the movie, but certain circumstances lately have kind of let me a bit down. Well, I've been feeling a bit down because of it. I won't divulge into it. It's kind of private matters, but, yeah, I just haven't had the heart to do it. And, I do want to talk about Doom Annihilation because, people have been, bashing it to hell. I wanted to give it a fair chance because there are some people who thoroughly enjoy it. Actually, the Doom Wiki did a tweet on it saying that they enjoyed it for the most part. It did what it needed to do. So I thought to myself, just because something is low budget doesn't automatically mean it's bad. I mean, it's a sci-fi movie, so that's going to be hard to do, but take Robert Rodriguez, take him for example. Not excluding the Spy Kids stuff and the Shark Boys and the Lava Girls and blah 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 blah. He knew how to make movies on the cheap, but he also knew how to draw you into these worlds, especially the El Mariachi movies, which are fantastic. Third one's okay. The other two are great though. Desperado especially, love Desperado. But you get what I'm saying, is that if you have the right talent, you can pull off any movie. So I wanted to give it the benefit of a doubt. Although even in the trailer with lines like, "I'm your ultra nightmare, motherfucker," I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound too good. Sounds very cheesy. What does it even mean anyway? It's like a level beyond nightmare. Is it like Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, Ultra Nightmare, blah blah blah. But yeah, I wanted to give this movie at least a fair chance, because maybe it'll be so bad it's good. So yeah, the director of this movie, he wanted to do a Doom movie for a while, but it didn't pass because he pitched it to Universal, but this was way after the first Doom movie, and we all know how well that did. So then he tried again after the 2016 game was a big success, and they finally got it greenlit. And I don't mind them doing something different, especially, like they were going to bring in a Doom girl. I know a lot of people got upset with that, and they wanted something that was like point for point like the game, and whatever, it is what it is. As long as she does a decent enough job, it could be okay. Okay, she's pretty badass like the Doom guy, so I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, saw the movie, and yeah, it's not good. Let's throw that right out there. It's not a good movie at all. But here's the thing, because people are being like, "Oh, it's an abomination," blah blah blah. But here's the thing about it. At moments, you could tell they're trying. Honestly, I'm not kidding. There's moments where they're real, especially the actors, they're really putting their heart and soul into it. The guy who plays Dr. Betruger, I think, is easily the best part of the movie, because he's you can tell he's giving it his all. There's this one scene where he's preparing to go through the portal, and this woman is preparing him, and he's just so pleasant, and he's like, "There's nothing to worry about. You shouldn't be nervous. I'm the one going through it. Everything's going to be fine." This is like a doctor you'd see in a doctor's office who's making you feel comfortable and all that stuff. He's really charismatic. I was surprised. The thing is, the acting isn't the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. My stepdad and I, we watch Svengoolie, so we watch a lot of those old horror movies. There are a lot worse actors out there than everybody in this movie. Trust me on that. But I think everyone does their part just fine. So, yeah, that's the thing. And, sometimes in the writing, too, they'll try to point out little inconsistencies or stupid moments. There's almost a sense that they're trying to be self-aware, too, but it just doesn't pan out because some of the ideas are still bad. There's a contrived part in the movie where the power is all drained, and they, only have, an hour or so to try and get the power back on because the whole colony, the whole UAC will explode. Really? So, and the UAC isn't portrayed as evil in this one. They're concerned about sending people through the portal and all that stuff. I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but I just have so much I want to talk about. I kind of don't want to forget it. But yeah, it's just a contrived way to separate the teams. Okay, let's start from the beginning. So yeah, it's the same plot as Doom 3 in the original, and you could have done something different with it. I know they don't have access to any of the Bethesda content. For better or worse, I don't know. We know the Doom Bethesda games, of course, are fine. It's just Fallout 76 and all that stuff going on. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Doom Annihilation. So yeah, even though they don't have the right to that, they can still do something original with it. I was thinking it starts with the team arriving there, or maybe the main character, Joan, she like wakes up and she kind of has to piece together what happened. I think it would be more interesting. And she comes across like maybe a few surviving members and she forms a real connection with them. So by the end, it's like, I'm guessing by the end it'd probably die if I were to do it, if you wanted my honest opinion. No. But yeah, by the end something happened and it's very tragic and she has to keep fighting, and it'd be cool. It'd be cool to do something unique. But no, they just have to remake the movie in Doom 3 again. And the original to a degree. But so yeah, it's like that's I think that's the thing. It doesn't have an original bone in its body despite it trying at moments. Because I feel like the director, he has a basic understanding of like how to do a sci-fi movie, but he doesn't know what separates a sci-fi movie from a good sci-fi movie. And the thing is, I've never seen Aliens, which I know, blasphemy. I am gonna see it though. I should see it, but those work because you have memorable characters. So that's why that works. You have memorable characters and you have interesting storylines going on with these characters. That's what makes it work. So anyway, they do an experiment. Something goes horribly wrong. And then, so then the Marines are coming in and they're all stationed there because Joan did something. And the big reveal to why they're all going into the UAC is just, the way it's presented is dumb. I think the exposition is pretty clumsy at times too, I'll give it that. But yeah, and then we meet the crew, who's about as stock as you can get. There's this one guy, I believe his name is Winslow, I believe he's called. He's sort of like, he has a heavy accent, and oh my god, he's so annoying. And he's a bit perverted too, because like the pilot is making weird jokes about like, oh, while you were asleep, I was probably doing something creepy in your stuff. And then, like, she talks about, I don't lose my lucky underwear. And he's like, ooh, tell me more about your lucky underwear. I'm just like, oh, UAC is in good hands with these people, folks, I tell ya. Then they're meted by this one guy who looks remarkably like the Doom guy himself. That's probably to sort of quell the anger of a lot of people. They decide, oh, let's bring in some dude who looks like Doom guy. And he actually has a cool moment where he whips out the super shotgun. And it's really awesome. So, yeah, there are little moments like that sprinkled throughout it, which makes it not the worst thing I've ever seen. But again, they go for the tired cliches and stuff. So then Betruger volunteers to go through the portal, and then more stuff goes wrong. The UAC facility is on emergency power. Like I said earlier, they only have a certain amount of time. And they go in there, and of course, probably the thing that a lot of people point out, which, you know, at first when I saw it, I didn't think it was a big deal, but they keep doing it constantly. It's like, it doesn't feel like a natural, like they're trying to go from one place to the next, and every time during those transitions, they just go, clear, clear, clear. Yeah, but it doesn't feel like natural, because they just show them going clear, 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 get to the scene, fight, 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 characters talking, they go through the hallways again, clear, clear, clear. It doesn't feel organic. And I think that's also a testament to, you know, the suspense of it too, because something real suspenseful requires really good editing, really good cinematography, and sometimes you don't need a budget for stuff like that. Like, you can't, like, especially when they're going through the halls, like, the hallways have this weird yellow and blue instead of something like dark, because darkness works because when you can't see anything, and that's, you're afraid of the unknown, what hides behind the shadows, and that's why darkness works really well. They try to do it later on, but they have a weird blue light to it. It's like the lighting and the camera work are just standard. There's nothing about them that makes it like very suspenseful or anything like that. And so yeah, they go through there going clear, clear. And here's the funny thing too, like later on when it's just like two of the characters left, they still feel the need to go clear, especially when they're going after the villain. It's ridiculous, but we'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself. So they go in there, they have to split into two teams, one to find survivors, the other to try and restore power. So these two teams, they separate, and then we meet the zombies, who look really bad, by the way. They look like if Drax and a member of the Blue Man group like merged together like the Fly. It looks really weird, and they're mostly the only enemies. I remember somewhere someone said they're like the putties from Power Rangers, like they're so ridiculous. yeah, they're not scary at all. And even the build up to revealing these guys isn't that good, because they're still kind of in shadow. When they turn around, you expect like a light to be on them. They're like, blah, but no, nothing like that. And, oh, the color changed on that. You know what? The coloring is still better than in the movie. Okay. And then we get the fight scene, and there's some ideas that are kind of okay behind it, but it's very shaky, unclear. And there's one point where it's just cut to the person shooting someone, cut to the zombie falling over, cut to the person shooting someone, cut to the zombie falling over. And again, you don't need like that big of a budget to do something like that. It's like requires good choreography and good camera work, but this kind of falls apart. And I guess I should mention, because I keep talking about the budget, the effects look okay at moments. Like, I feel like they try to get through the effects as quickly as possible, but then there are others that linger and just, yeah, they're pretty not so great. Yeah, those, they definitely put those After Effects presets to good use, man. I tell ya. So yeah, we got fight, and as you expect, a lot of the Marines die because they're trying to be aliens, and unlike aliens, which, you know, have memorable characters, I'm sure these guys are just so one-note, forgettable. And the Winslow, I believe the guy with the accent, he is so freaking annoying. At first, he's like a badass. He's like, "Oh, I'm an ultra nightmare." By the way, that line is said twice. By the way, first by that Winslow character, and then the other that we see in the trailer from the other guy. He's like, "I'm your ultra nightmare, motherfucker." But he's like, "Oh, this big badass guy," and then they keep fighting the zombies like, "I'm too young to die." Oh, man. I'll give them credit that they try to throw in Doom references, but they're done so half-assed. It's not even funny. Like, I mean, I will give him one. The robot in this movie, the sort of HAL 9000, if you will, the robot on the Marine ship, her name is Daisy. I'm like, okay, I'll give you that one. But some of the others just feel out of place. Like, they find a body, it belongs to B.J. Blazkowicz, and so, yeah. It's pretty weird. Well, there's another one for John Carmack, too. It's like, I mean, again, they're trying, but they almost don't know how to, like, be subtle. That's the problem. They don't know the art of subtlety, or what works, and how we can really, like, feel those moments, like, in the back of our heads, instead of just being shoved right in our faces. So, yeah, they, lots of fighting, Marines dying, and, then they find that woman who was helping Betruger earlier. They escape with her. They find Betruger. Here's one of the dumbest moments. I think here's the thing. Like, the first two acts are standard, and there are moments where you can tell they're trying and stuff like that. But I think it's the moment Betruger comes back into the team is when the movie gets really freaking bad. And it all stems from the fact that Betruger wants to go and open the portals. You know, despite the fact that the portals were probably the culprit, is what they gathered. It's like, as soon as those portals, like, open, that's when shit hit the fan. And he goes crazy at this point. He's, like, completely psychotic. And there's a scientist character that's with them who had a relationship with Joan, and it really doesn't go anywhere. You don't feel like they were a couple at one point. Like, it would have been better if, like, because the thing is, people shun Joan because of what she did, but maybe if the scientist guy sort of empathizes, instead of doing it like a relationship, he could have had a friendship. That's one thing I always like in sort of any media, is like, sometimes when a person is alone, it's always nice to have sort of that one friend there who's gonna be by your side no matter what. And like, they know you're a flawed person, but at the same time, they can see the good in you. And like, that's what I think should have worked better, instead of being like, awkwardly, it's like, "Oh, we dated for how many months?" and all that stuff. I'm just like, oh, come on. But yeah, they could have had that sort of relationship instead of being like that, where they form a friendship. And spoiler alert, the scientist guy dies at the end, and like, he comes back to fight Joan, and it really doesn't amount to anything, because again, you don't have any sort of connection between these people. But like I said, when I'm going back with the scientist guy, he is like infatuated by Betruger. He's like, "Oh, I look up to him," and all this stuff, and everyone's kind of like dismissive of his odd behavior and how over the top he's acting, because, you know, that wouldn't be suspicious at all, but people still think he's like normal, despite the fact that he killed a lot of people, essentially. And even so, the scientist is like, "Oh, I would be a little bit, I am kind of envious of him because he did all these cool things, but like, but then the other, like, Marine is like, well, yeah, but he killed a lot of people, and he didn't really sort of, like, respond with that, and he's kind of a dick, but it gets worse, because, again, people aren't sort of, like, being aware of this guy, and just how crazy he's gotten and what he wants to do. And so, towards the end of the movie, you know, a lot of people die, except for, the woman that helped Betruger earlier, and then Betruger himself, Joan, the scientist, and the annoying guy with the accent, and one other woman, I forget who she is. It doesn't really matter. You don't know who any of these people are. So, you know, the imps, we get the imps, and they honestly don't look the worst. Although sometimes you can't tell they're rubber suits, but, you know, at least I give them credit for using rubber suits. Fireball effects are bad as you expect. So, because when the portal activated, Betruger says he doesn't remember going through, and, like, then the woman who's with him says she does remember going through, and she didn't tell anybody. Why? Why didn't you tell anyone? That'd be important, vital information. What, because he was nice to you? That's the only reason? You serious? And that would probably have saved so much. Again, everyone, like, loves Betruger, despite the fact that he's killed a lot of people, and how psychotic he's acting toward the end, and how hellbent he is in activating the portals. And even Joan's, like, she's trying to be smart about this, and be like, okay, we'll activate the generators, and then she, like, sets the scientist guy aside, and she's like, okay, we're not going to really do it, but we'll use it as a way to power the ship back on, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, okay, fine, I can see that. So they're down there, and then they're starting to, you know, bring the ship back on, and all of a sudden, Betruger, probably some of the most painful exposition I've ever seen. He starts talking about Joan, and he's like, oh, you did this, you let this terrorist get away, and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, he starts going to this monologue detailing everything, and that's like, that's not freaking suspicious at all. And also, the woman that helped him earlier is standing right next to him, so wouldn't it be a good idea to have one of the Marines grab the woman to get them away from the crazy scientist? And also have someone maybe with a gun right nearby just in case he tries something funny. But no, they're oblivious to this. They're oblivious to the fact that he's trying to manipulate them. Poorly, might I add. Because even, like, he says, like, something about, he, like, quotes Joan saying that, like, one of the other Marines was, like, dishonest or something. She's like, Joan, I didn't say that. I'm like, why would you believe this guy? Don't you think that's not, like, don't you think that's not important right now? And again, we can't trust this guy because of how weird he's acting. But no, people are fine with it. People can't see that he's acting like a lunatic. And then, of course, Betruger takes out a knife, stabs the woman in the back, and runs away to go activate the portal. And this is, of course, after they get the UAC back online. But of course, it probably would have been smarter. I know you're not trained in combat and everything, Betruger, but you know what would stop someone from talking? Slit him across the throat. Yeah, I'm just saying, because she does reveal, like, where Betruger's going and all of that, so, oh my god. See what I mean? The third act just gets so stupid, while the first two are just generic sci-fi stuff. When Betruger kills that woman, starts running off, more imps come up, and then another dumb moment. The Marines are kind of incompetent in this movie, especially in this one part, where at one point, one of the Marines fires off her gun, she reloads while standing in front of the imp, and gets killed. But I'm glad to see you guys are so well trained for this situation. I don't care if it's a hell spawn, you should still know how to deal with certain situations, like, couldn't run off to a corner. And even the scientist guy, he's baffled and can't believe that Betruger would be doing something like this, despite, even if we don't know what his full goals were, we know he wanted to activate the teleporter again, and knows how dangerous it is, so, oh man, it just bothers me to no end. So, like, Joan and the scientist guy, they're the only ones left, and they go to get the BFG, which, I guess we should talk about the weapons, because they look, except for the shotgun, which looked pretty good, the weapons looked awful, and I know it's a budget movie, but again, going back to Robert Rodriguez, the guns in those movies looked a lot more convincing. Like the toy guns that the id Software guys got for the original game to, digitize into the game, they looked a lot more authentic. And it just bothers me a little bit because, especially when you see the BFG, It's like, apparently this guy, the director is a fan of Doom, but he doesn't understand how the BFG works, which is supposed to decimate enemies, but instead, it's just a laser gun. Pew, pew, pew. That's it. So, but here's the thing. So, especially the BFG, you look at it, and it just looks so flimsy. And, again, the other guns look flimsy, too, and this I find no excuse for, and I know I'm kind of harping on this a little bit, and, you know, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it, okay, guys, but it just bothers me a little bit, because, like, so I went to, if you remember, I did a video a while back where I went to a convention, and there I took a picture. I'll put it on screen. First of all, whoever you are, please get in contact with me so I can give you credit, because you did a fantastic job. I want you to look at this. That is a BFG 9000. This is a fan who took money out of his own pocket to make the BFG, and it looks freaking phenomenal. How is it a fan could do this better than, like, a actual Hollywood studio? So, I don't know. It's crazy. So, after that, Joan and the scientist go to the elevator. They have their talk about how they used to date. And then, all of a sudden, elevator opens. Imp grabs him. Elevator closes. And then Joan goes through. Here's the thing about Joan, the actress. First of all, her name's Joan. Joan Dark. As in Joan of Arc. Get it? Or Joanna Dark from Perfect Dark. I don't know if that was a coincidence or anything, but just, wow. Even then, the name just sounds ridiculous, too. That would be fine if the movie was a lot more tongue-in-cheek, but it's not. It's supposed to take itself seriously, but... Anyway, yeah, like I said, the actors do a fine job, and she does a fine job, too, because there's a scene in the elevator where it's all quiet, and you could see her starting to tear up and get emotional. And that's a moment of humanity. That's feeling human. And, yeah, it was again, a moment where they showed that they were actually trying to do something. But, again, it goes back to Stupidville. So, gets off the elevator and sees Betruger in the corner, and he's about to activate the portal. So instead of shooting him right away, because at this point, you know Betruger is not going to stop. He's going to annihilate everyone. Look what I did there. So instead of stopping him and just shooting him right there, she's like, I'm giving you one chance. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just like, it doesn't matter. Throw your morals out the window. This guy is going to kill millions of people. And it turns out he's immortal, so even no matter what gunshot he used, like, no matter what gunshot she uses, he'd be okay. But even in that moment with the BFG, you could have knocked him aside and then destroyed the control mechanism for the portal. So, that's what I mean. The third act just gets really bad. It's like, I don't know what went wrong, man. Like, at the very least, I don't know if this movie would have still been good, but I guess I would have given credit for the effort. But towards the end, it's just like, they were like written into a corner or something, man. It's just, it just bothers me. So yeah, then, while Betruger's activating the portal, the scientist guy comes in and they're fighting. And it's supposed to mean something, but it doesn't, so there's that. Joan goes through the portal, and she goes through to hell. And here's the thing, because some people say it is the best part of the movie, and to a degree it is, because you can tell where all the budget went. But the problem is, it just looks like, I don't know, like an abandoned planet or something. It doesn't really look like hell. And I'm not saying there's one definitive look hell has, because hell is something no one's really seen it. I mean, you know, but I think that's the fun thing, is that people can come up with their own interpretations of what hell is. You know, there's the classic fire and brimstone, but some others could be very, like, psychological or something like that. But no, it's just very generic. And then there's this new demon who comes in, and he's saying, like, oh, this world used to belong to us, and now we're going to take it back. And she puts up a decent fight, and she, gets strength from a cross she has around her chest, which, is a plot point, too, because, like, at the beginning, the mother died, gives her the cross. Again, they have these basic ideas, but they don't know how to, like, fully expand upon them. Like, it's like screenwriting 101, and they just stopped at the 101 instead of going further and trying to understand complicated ideas. Because, like, she says she's an atheist too, but, like, that could have been a good idea too, like, sort of exploring that idea, especially when hell comes in. It makes her start to question, like, You know, what, is she atheist? Should she convert to Christianity? It's like, it would have been an interesting dilemma, but again, they don't go all the way with it. It's just very basic and stuff. It's like, oh, you see this item, you know it's going to come into play later. But yeah, so she gets her strength back from remembering her mother. She fights some of the demons. She gets over to a portal. They do a shot that's similar to the box art from the original game. She throws BFG grenades, which I will admit, that's something that the actual Doom Eternal could benefit from. That'd be kind of awesome. But hey, you know what? The freeze bombs are pretty cool. So just saying. So it goes through the portal and then meets up with a scientist guy. They restrain her, and then they're waiting for Betruger to come through the portal, and then that's where it ends. And man, yep, ends on a cliffhanger. The thing is, a cliffhanger can work, but a movie has to feel complete for it to work. Like, you have to get the 3-act structure. Like, you reach the climax, and then you have to sort of slowly go down, and sort of like to what's the word I'm looking for? To sort of like to breathe and to sort of really like let everything that happens settle in. Like, that's how I think a good movie works like that, because you can have like a cliffhanger. Even like Avengers Infinity War, like, even after everything that happened, it's slowed down and you cut to Thanos at the end just sort of sitting there, and you're kind of like taking in the moment of everything that just happened and the weight that half of the whole Marvel universe is gone pretty much. But no, just immediately cuts to a cliffhanger ending, and that's pretty much it for Doom Annihilation. So here's the thing. At the end of the day, it's like, there's no point in getting offended by this movie. It's a movie. It's harmless. I mean, the third act, yeah, it drives me nuts at moments, but you're not gonna lose sleep over it. You're not gonna be like an old person in your deathbed and be like, oh, Doom Annihilation affected me dearly. At the end, it's just a harmless sci-fi movie, and the id Software team themselves said they had nothing to do with it. It doesn't tie into Doom Eternal at all, so it doesn't tie into the Doom universe. So you don't have anything to worry about. It's just another movie you're gonna forget about at the end of the day. But should there be a Doom movie? Because the idea behind Doom, in my opinion, is that power fantasy, about fighting your demons, about facing the nightmares. That's what it's about, and that's something that has to come from you. I mean, it's not from the people on screen. You have to rise up, get your shotgun out, and just face those enemies head on. And I think it's such a simple game, and it's just running around shooting demons, but it's being more subtle than the movie, I'll tell you that. Because it's saying to face the monsters instead of like fearing them and all that stuff. Just rise up, stand up, man. There's nothing to be afraid of. But yeah, I don't know if Doom really should be a movie in the first place. Like, people keep saying that Hardcore Henry? That would be a good Doom movie. And yeah, I could see that. But again, I think Doom is better off as a game. There are definitely other video games that can do a lot better as movies, like something like Silent Hill or something, because that delves into a lot of psychology. That dives into the psyche of people's minds and all that stuff, and that's fascinating stuff. But yeah, not Doom so much. I mean, I think even if there was a good Doom movie, I'm like, okay, it was cool. At the end of the day, the games are still where it's at, you know? So I've been rambling on long enough. So I just want to say, again, I'm sorry this wasn't a full crazy review. I was going to have a lot of funny bits in there. I was going to do, there's going to be a shot where I show off the guns and then I do the thing from Civi 11 where, it's from Beetlejuice where he goes, nice fucking model, honk honk. I think that's almost why I wanted to do it, just to do that moment. But again, I didn't have the heart to do it, but I do want to get back to doing other stuff like Let's Plays and all that stuff. And for those of you who have been following me on Deviantart know about the story I'm working on, I will be working on the second/final draft of it, making any sort of corrections. I'm hoping to have it out maybe in December. I'm hoping, because I would like to get the first act out by the end of 2019. So that's where we're going on that. And yeah, I think I know I keep going back to Doom again, but I do want to finish Sigil, get that done, so, because I feel like, I know it's an unofficial 5th episode, but it's still John Romero just did it. So it technically, I guess you could say it is the 5th episode of Doom. So what can you do? Yeah, that's about it. There's nothing more I have to say on it. If you're looking for some dumb sci-fi entertainment, I don't know. I mean, again, there are moments where they try, but it just feels generic. But that last act is where you might just like slam your head against the wall, because it really, the choices they make are really bad. So take it for what it is. At the end of the day, we still have Doom. We still have Doom 2, Doom 3, Doom 64, the 2016 game, and now Doom Eternal. Yeah, I know. I'm a little upset that it got delayed, but I'm hoping that they'll use this time to make it better. And yeah, I guess the last thing, I know I said I'm almost done here, but last thing with the whole Doom Eternal delay thing, give it a chance, guys, because some people, I feel like ever since the delay, people have been more salty about it. I think that might stem from the whole Bethesda thing, especially with Fallout. But remember that I feel like id Software, the Bethesda has left id Software alone in that regard. Because, I mean, whether you like or dislike Rage 2 or Wolfenstein Youngblood, they were still made by those developers, not Bethesda themselves. So, I mean, yeah, they've had a little influence with, like, log into Bethesda.net to get your free shit, but whatever, it wasn't too big of a deal. But yeah, it's like, you've seen any of the videos of Hugo Martin in it talking about Doom Eternal. You can tell he's very passionate about the project and how he wants to stay true to what makes Doom good, but try new ideas with them. More than I can say, again, for this movie. Alright, so, I'm done this time. I know I've gone on for a long time, but I just wanted to get that all out there for you guys. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, my crazy ramblings. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.